Ruko, because what I'm about to say is the part nobody wants to admit. Everyone keeps asking what's wrong with baby Junior, but the real problem isn't the child. It's the mother, the father, and every single person who watched this mess happen and stayed silent. And after that viral clip of her wiping snot on him, people are saying this isn't drama anymore. This is neglect. He said he walked away because her behavior was getting dangerous. In his words, her mind wasn't in the right place, and he couldn't sit there and watch a child grow up in that kind of chaos. He kept repeating that she wasn't acting like a good person or a good mother, and honestly, you could hear the frustration in his voice. He tried telling her over and over to take care of her child, but nothing changed. So he had to leave for his own peace. People online have been asking the same question for months now. What's really going on with Junior? And every single time the conversation comes back around, it always points to the same place, straight to her. Folks aren't confused anymore. They're concerned. They're frustrated. They're watching a situation that doesn't sit right, and they're wondering how long everybody is supposed to pretend nothing is wrong. From what people are seeing, that child doesn't just need attention, he needs real help, real therapy, real structure, a parent who shows up physically and mentally every single day, not someone who logs on live, smiles for the camera, and tries to convince the world everything is perfectly fine when it's clearly not. And the crazy part, everyone in her circle sees the signs, but no one wants to admit it. Not her friends, not her supporters, not even the people sitting right next to her while she records. Instead, they defend her, hype her up, or stay silent because it's easier to protect an influencer than to protect a baby. The internet itself plays along. It gets loud for a moment, everyone outraged, everyone demanding accountability, and then the noise fades. People move on, something new trends, and the whole situation gets pushed under the rug until the next alarming clip shows up. And the cycle starts all over again. But the truth is becoming harder and harder to ignore. Comment sections are filled with the same long paragraphs and deep sighs. She needs to take that boy to a doctor. Why does the baby look behind? Why won't she get him evaluated? Why does she act like everything is normal when he clearly needs more help than he's getting? And these aren't just haters typing from fake accounts. These are real parents, real teachers, real people who work with children who have developmental needs. They're not trying to pick sides, they're trying to protect a child who can't protect himself. Every time a clip of Junior goes viral, the internet reacts the same way. People point out the signs, the delays, the lack of proper interaction, the way she brushes off real concerns like they're insults meant to hurt her ego instead of warnings meant to help her son. It's like every red flag is treated as a personal attack rather than a wake-up call. And that's part of the issue. She's more worried about how she looks online than how her child is functioning in real life. Meanwhile, the people closest to her are enabling it. They'd rather take pictures, hit record, and laugh in the background than step in and say, "Hey, this isn't okay." They'd rather protect her feelings than protect the child who's depending on all of them. Some of them don't want to lose access, some don't want to risk the backlash, and some don't want to be the bad guy who tells her the truth. She refuses to hear. But the truth is simple. A baby in that condition shouldn't be treated like a prop for live streams. A baby with visible delays shouldn't be ignored. A baby showing signs of needing help shouldn't have to wait for a crisis before someone steps in. People online see it. Strangers see it. Even Blueface, for all his flaws, sees it. And yet somehow, the people around her pretend like none of this is happening. They wipe her tears, they hold the camera, they delete comments, and they jump in to defend behavior that shouldn't be defended. And that's why the internet keeps asking, what's really going on with Junior? Because from the outside looking in, everything about this situation feels wrong. A mother who gets defensive every time someone mentions therapy. A child who's clearly behind but never seen at a doctor. A support circle that prioritizes content over care. And a father who complains online, but doesn't fully step in. It's not adding up. People aren't asking because they're nosy. They're asking because they're worried. They're asking because children don't lag for no reason. They're asking because nobody wants to wait until something tragic happens to finally say, we should have done something earlier. And the sad part, the internet shouldn't have to be the voice of reason here. Her friends should, her family should, the people in her house should, but when everyone around her is scared to confront the truth, the entire internet ends up doing the job they refuse to do. So the questions keep coming. Why won't she take him to be evaluated? Why does she ignore the signs everyone else can see? Why does she act offended when someone suggests therapy? Why is everyone around her pretending she's doing everything right? And the biggest one, how long is this going to go on before someone steps up and actually helps that child? Because at the end of the day, Junior isn't the one who created this chaos. He isn't the one choosing live streams over naps, or clutter over routines, or emotional outbursts over doctor appointments. He's just a baby who deserves structure, love, and real support. A baby who depends on adults to act like adults. And every time the internet circles back to this story, the same answer keeps echoing through every comment section, every reaction video, every discussion thread. The problem isn't the child. The problem is the mother who won't face what's wrong. People are tired of pretending, tired of waiting, tired of watching a situation that feels like it's getting worse, not better. And until someone in her real life stops enabling her and starts helping him, the internet will keep asking the same question louder each time. Because at this point, someone has to. Blueface finally hit his limit. That viral clip of her wiping her runny nose all over baby Junior, like the child was a napkin, was the moment people said, "Nah, this is neglect." Folks were calling it nasty, saying she could have passed anything to him. A cold, the flu, whatever. One person even wrote, "This is the opposite of how motherhood is supposed to look." Others said she clearly isn't okay. Blueface reacted like he was shocked, but the streets weren't buying it. They said this isn't new. She's been showing signs for a long time that she isn't ready for motherhood. No matter what she posts online, this is the same girl who left her baby locked in a car, live on stream, and got banned off Twitch for it. The same girl who let him fall off a bed and didn't pick him up until someone else yelled. The same one who smoked right next to him like secondhand. Smoke isn't real, and people haven't forgotten that she admitted to drinking and smoking while pregnant and still went out partying, clubbing, and allegedly using drugs. That's why so many influencers and commenters have said her choices might be part of the reason Junior is struggling now. They're calling her reckless, unstable, and unprepared to care for a child who clearly needs more support than she's giving. But every time she does something questionable, the internet yells for 2 days. Then everyone goes silent again like they're scared to speak the truth. Her ex, Bino, is one of the only people who never sugarcoated anything. While everybody else tiptoed around her feelings, he was the one voice saying out loud what everyone else was whispering. From the very beginning, he insisted that people weren't paying attention to the real issue, that the child wasn't getting the care he needed, and everyone around her was pretending it wasn't happening. Bino didn't just throw random accusations. He talked about things he said he personally witnessed. He claimed he saw her feed the baby foods he shouldn't have been eating at that age. Like she didn't understand what could hurt him or what his body was ready for. And according to him, it wasn't just one mistake or one bad day. It was a pattern. A long, uncomfortable pattern of her not giving the child the focused care a developing baby needs. He said there were times Junior clearly needed help crying, fussing, trying to get her attention, and she wouldn't move. She'd be too busy on her phone, too wrapped up in goofing around, too distracted by live streams and friends. And the heartbreaking part, he said she wouldn't respond unless a camera was on her. When the red light wasn't recording, the effort wasn't there. But the moment she had an audience, suddenly she became the picture-perfect mother. Smiling, talking, pretending everything was under control. According to Bino, Jr. wasn't getting proper meals either. He said the boy practically lived on milk. Not because that's what the doctor recommended, but because she was too distracted to actually prepare real food or keep him on a healthy schedule. A lot of viewers online have said the same thing, that the child looks underfed, behind in development, and not getting enough of what he needs. And hearing Bino talk about it only confirmed what people feared. But it didn't stop there. Bino dropped another heavy truth. He said CPS had been called multiple times. Not once, not twice. Multiple. He never revealed exactly who made the calls, but he suggested they were out of concern, not spite. People saw things that didn't look right, and they acted. But somehow, after every call. And Bino wasn't saying all this for clout or revenge, at least from what he claimed. He said he was saying it because the child was innocent and didn't deserve to grow up like that. He talked about moments where he tried to step in, stretching Junior's legs, trying to help him stand, trying to give him even a little bit of the attention he wasn't getting from his own mother. He said he'd buy clothes, toys, and things the child needed while the people around her were too busy recording videos or chasing clout. That's what bothered him the most. Not the mistakes, but the environment. He said her entire circle was full of yes-men, people who just wanted to be around her fame. They didn't care about Junior. They didn't care about correcting her. They didn't care if he was behind or struggling or missing milestones. They just wanted to be in the frame, get the shout-out, and go viral. So they stayed quiet, even when they saw things that should have made them speak up. Bino said it felt like he was the only one trying to pull her attention back to reality, the only one urging her to take Junior to therapy, the only one who understood the seriousness of what was going on. But instead of listening, she'd brush him off, get defensive, or act like he was trying to control her. In the end, it pushed him away. He said he left because he couldn't watch a child suffer while everyone else acted blind. And the truth is, his words struck a nerve online. People didn't want to believe him at first, because they thought it was drama, bitterness, but as more videos surfaced, more strange behavior appeared, and more red flags popped up. Bino's claims started sounding less like gossip and more like warnings no one wanted to hear. At the end of the day, all he kept repeating was simple: something is wrong here, and everyone pretending otherwise is part of the problem. And sadly, nothing he described has changed. Not in her behavior, not in her circle, and definitely not in the little boy caught in the middle of all of it. He repeated it again recently. She's not thinking straight, and the child needs proper care. In his eyes, there's nothing wrong with Junior that can't be improved, but she has to get herself together before anything gets better. When people asked him directly whether he still believed she was a bad mother, he didn't hesitate or try to soften his answer. He stood on what he'd been saying from the start. Yes, in his eyes, she wasn't doing what a real parent should, and he made it clear that this wasn't about petty drama or bitterness. It was about a child who wasn't getting the care he deserved. He said straight up that the child's father needs to step in and take Junior until she gets herself together, not permanently, not out of spite, but because the boy needs stability right now, not chaos, not live streams, not unpredictable behavior. He said the father needs to take responsibility, step up fully, and give the baby a safe, structured environment. While the mother works on her mental health and parenting skills, and even though he was criticizing her behavior, his tone changed completely whenever he mentioned Junior. He didn't talk about the boy like he was some burden or a pawn in their drama. He talked about him with warmth, like someone who genuinely cared. He said he loves kids, always has, and that he actually has an autistic son of his own. That detail mattered, because it showed he wasn't just throwing opinions around. He knows what it's like to raise a child who needs extra attention, patience, and professional support. He knows what therapy looks like, what structure looks like, what daily care requires. And that's why it hurt him to see Junior not getting the same level of support. To him, it wasn't about calling anyone out, it was about telling the truth. And that truth, according to him, is simple: until she gets her life and her mindset right, someone else has to step in for the sake of that child. His message was simple: that child needs the right love, the right help, and the right environment. And right now, he's not getting it. And if it were his situation, he said he wouldn't hesitate. He'd take his child and make sure they were safe until the mother was ready to be a real parent. Now the streets are side-eyeing Blueface too. People are starting to ask the question nobody wanted to say out loud: if he knew she was struggling like this, why didn't he step in earlier for his own child? It's not like this is the first time her parenting has been questioned. Folks remember everything, especially the moment CPS almost took Junior last year. Back then, it felt like the whole world was watching her fall apart in real time. CPS was at her door constantly because of the smoking, the drinking, and the reckless behavior that kept showing up on live streams. People weren't judging her for being imperfect, they were scared for the baby. Every day, someone online would say, "She needs help. Her situation is getting dangerous." When CPS showed up repeatedly, it seemed like the system finally noticed what everyone else had been worried about. But somehow, the case got dropped. No charges, no follow-up, nothing. For a moment, the internet let out a sigh of relief. Everyone thought that would be her wake-up call, the moment she would look around, realize how close she came to losing her child, and finally slow down. A lot of people hoped she would choose peace, therapy, and stability. They hoped she would prove everyone wrong. But now, watching everything unfold all over again, it's starting to look like Bino wasn't hating. He was telling the uncomfortable truth. You can't fix what you won't admit is broken. And if Blueface saw all this from the sidelines, then he's not innocent either. People feel like he should have stepped up, protected his child, or at the very least confronted the situation before it exploded again. Everyone's pointing fingers, but one thing is clear: the baby deserved better from both of them. And when her fans tried clowning Bino for being the ex who got dumped, he fired back with receipts. According to him, just weeks before the breakup, she was glued to him, hugging him, kissing him, doing everything to keep him around. But the moment she heard Blueface might be getting out, she switched up instantly. He said she refused to cover up Blueface's name tattoo, so he walked away. And people kept blaming him like he needed her. But he wasn't done talking. That's when he dropped the real bombshell. The night Junior fell off the bed and she didn't even bother to pick him up. He said the child can't even walk yet, he couldn't get up alone, and she just left him lying there like it didn't matter. He said she refuses to take him to therapy even though the boy clearly needs professional help. He claimed everybody around her only cares about clout, not the child's well-being. Meanwhile, he said he was the only one actually trying, stretching the baby's legs, helping him stand, buying him clothes while the people around her were too busy recording TikToks pretending everything was normal. And in his opinion, if he were Blueface, he would have taken that child already. He even mentioned he has an autistic son himself, and he treats him with more care than what Junior is getting. People also remember when Junior was born needing surgery, and she skipped the appointment over and over until Blueface blasted her online. That child is already struggling, already showing signs that he needs extra support. And instead, he's stuck in chaos he never asked for. Even when Blueface got released and she jumped back on live stream, Junior looked exhausted and disconnected, like he didn't even know where he was. Online, people keep saying the same thing. These patterns are not normal. But every time someone calls her out, she cries, gets emotional, brings up God, and says her baby is blessed like that, replaces actual parenting. The internet isn't buying it anymore. One user said, "She definitely doesn't take him to the doctor. CPS would have been involved again." Another wrote, "Finally someone speaking facts. Bino should have done something sooner if he saw all that neglect." And now, after that new clip of her wiping snot on Junior, Blueface is acting shocked, like this is the first time she's crossed the line. The streets aren't fooled. They're saying, "Bro, you been new, you watched this for months." But nobody stepped in. And now everyone's asking the same question. How much longer before this child is in real danger if someone doesn't take control? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in. The next jaw dropper is loading.